Hello and welcome to Dash Talk. My guest this week is Joshua Scigala, who is the founder and CEO of Vaultoro. Joshua, how are you?
Wonderful, Amanda. I mean, it's a crazy time to feel wonderful, that's for sure. So I feel pretty lucky.
Well, I'm glad. I can feel your good vibes from here. And so let's get started by telling the likely very few people who don't already know, what is Vaultoro?
Well, Vaultoro is a platform where you can trade Bitcoin and Dash for physical allocated gold that's sitting in a high security vaulting facility, fully audited and insured. And then you can trade that back to Dash or Bitcoin whenever you want, so that it allows you to hedge the volatility of these crypto assets without having to go and use the banking system again. Trying to stay outside of the banking system. And that was why I started it all those years ago. Yeah.
That's actually pretty much more or less what I've heard from one of your most avid users, who just sings the praises of Vaultoro, any chance he gets. He says that the primary reason he started using your services was to be able to do what you've just talked about, like the kinds of trades, but without needing to use a bank account. And
Yeah, it's so important. A lot of, I got into crypto to get away from banks. And every time I used an exchange, I'd have to trust them with all these dollars or euros on a bank account somewhere. And if I tried to cash them out, the bank would ask for all sorts of things and even freeze accounts. So I really wanted away. Plus, after Mt. Gox collapsed, that was really the precipice of me saying, right, this has to change. We need a totally transparent exchanging system, and base it on gold instead of fiat, because the gold can be counted. It's not rehypothecated like banks do, like just sort of lending it out. Gold just sits in your name as your legal property and just sits there. It can't be lent out to anybody else without your permission. And even then, we don't have the functionality to do that.
Well, then let's talk more about exactly that, which is basically the storage mechanism for the gold that's owned by various account holders. And what sort of confidence are they able to have that it's there and not, as you say, being lent out to other people?
Yeah, so basically when Mt. Gox collapsed, I sat down with my brother and said, right, let's build a decentralized exchange. And this was before any decentralized exchanges or Ethereum or any of that.
Sure, this was a long time ago, Grandpa OG.
Yeah, I know, right?
Crypto
This
man.
gray hair isn't here for no reason. And we thought about it a long time, and then we thought, well, let's have first the counter asset gold, because all of our fiat is still sitting there on Mt. Gox, and liquidators are basically chewing through it, because it's when you have fiat in the bank, it's not your money. It doesn't belong to you. And so the precipice then was to say, hey, let's not have fiat, let's have gold. Gold can be allocated in your name as your legal property. It's not allocated to the bank. So if anything happens to us, it doesn't matter. It's not our property. It's off of our books. And that means liquidators can't touch it. And this is a really important part of why gold is important in this whole story. Plus, I feel like rare assets belong together. Rare metals and rare numbers belong together. They shouldn't be fighting like Peter Schiff and Grayscale. Like, I just think it's silly, this whole fight, like Bitcoin or Dash is better than gold or gold is better than Dash. I think, guys, you know what? Yeah, you can make an argument that television is better than a cinema, but they're different. They still exist. People still go to the cinema. Well, they did until 2 months ago, I guess. But now they go to a drive-in cinema. There's a different experience, and I think this is what people have to realize. There's a need for a diversification amongst rare assets, and that's kind of what made me do it. Your original question, I'm sorry, was, how do you make sure that we aren't rehypothecating, that we aren't lending out, or that all the gold is there? So the original plan was to build a transparency protocol, which we did, which was called the Glassbox protocol. And this works by giving everyone an anonymous ID, and only they and us know that ID, because we created it for them. And then they can log out of the system, and we publish every anonymous ID, and then exactly how much gold that ID has got, and how much Bitcoin, and how much Dash. And then they can sum up the holdings of everyone. So they can check We don't know that they're checking, so we can't change those numbers. They can sum all that up, and then they can also check the cold wallet addresses to make sure that there's a fair amount of percentages of that Bitcoin or Dash sitting there. And then for the gold, we publish the auditing certificates from BDO International. We publish the insurance paperwork, and we publish the vaulting facility certificates and statements, so that people can always check, that's how much gold should be there, and that's how much gold is in there.
I see. So these are in like professional vaults. They're not necessarily like in the basement of the Vaultoro headquarters.
Oh, no way, no way. These are in high security, top tier vaulting facilities in Switzerland. So these, to give you an idea of this, vaulting facilities have different ratings on security, and the vaulting facility we use is Brinks, and we also use Pro Aurum vaulting facilities in Switzerland, and these are rated at the same level as the ECB. And there's only 3 vaults that are, or 2 vaults that are rated at that, and that's the Pro Aurum vaulting facility and the ECB, the European Central Bank. So these are very, very secure. So you would have to be sort of the Ocean's 11 team to sort of get in there. It was like, it'd be impossible, improbable.
So I can actually speak as not a direct account holder at Vaultoro, but rather a supervisor of an entity that does have an account at Vaultoro, and that is the Dash Investment Foundation. And as the viewers might know, the Dash Investment Foundation is quite technically the world's first traditional legal entity that is controlled and funded by a blockchain network, which is to say there are no members, there are no subscribers of the fund, there are certainly no owners, but rather there is a funding mandate that comes directly from the Dash treasury system. And one of the first things that we wanted to do at what we call the DIF, right, was start to add stability to our purchasing power of our reserves by acquiring gold. And so we, with the direction of our investment consultant, we put in buy orders at Vaultoro. And I am happy to say that several of those have recently been triggered, which means the DIF is now an owner of gold via Vaultoro, which means that the Dash cryptocurrency is in a sense now backed up by gold bought through Vaultoro. I was just wondering, like, what do you think about that, if anything?
Oh, man, I really love the idea of the DIF. And I think, I remember watching Dash from even when it was Darkcoin and thinking, wow, isn't this cool that they've got, when the masternode things came out and you could start funding projects like yourselves and media outlets and all sorts of things to help promote the blockchain. I thought, isn't that brilliant? You don't only have miners being paid, but now you have also the blockchain paying people. You have this algorithm paying people to promote it, not only to secure it. And the only thing I remember thinking was, isn't it a shame that they can't buy legal shares in these things, or have some sort of kickback for a project that might do really, really well? Let's say someone gets paid by the Dash DAO and is able to grow some big, amazing company out of it, that the community wouldn't be able to benefit from that. And so when you guys came up with the DIF, I thought that was a perfect thing to do. And now that the DIF is hedging a portion of its holdings in physical rare assets, in physical gold that's been around for over 5,000 years, some say 3,000, 5,000, a long time, and held value through thick and through thin, through every war and every nightmare that the human condition has thrown at gold. It's come out through the other end holding value. And this is why I think it's such a great thing to do for a blockchain project, is to hold value in that as well as other things, but diversify that holding and then be able to invest in great projects in this space while feeding all back into the Dash blockchain and project and community.
Yeah. Now, shifting gears a little, how many cryptocurrencies do you support on Vaultoro? Or which ones, I guess?
So we started in 2015 and we were Bitcoin only for most of that time. And Dash is the second coin that we've ever implemented. So it's only Dash, Bitcoin, and gold at the moment.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here I thought that there were, wow. So that is a huge compliment from you to the Dash product.
Yeah, I really love Dash. I think it's one of those projects where you guys have had, I feel, the priorities in the right position. You've had the priorities of the community and going to places like Venezuela or other countries in South America as well, but also in Africa. The continent of Africa has so many countries that really need this technology, and I've always loved that, and I've loved the passion of the community, but I've always loved that there is a focus on fungibility. It might not be the newest, most fantastic way of doing fungibility, but I think it's still a very, very strong focus, and I love that it's also a voluntary thing. You can be, and you can't, if you would like to be. So then the DAO, the whole DAO concept really blew my mind. And as the projects evolved with having now InstantSend and all these other technologies that have come along out of this masternode concept has just been fantastic. And let's not even forget that Dash was one of the first staking coins. So it's always been very, very ahead of the game in terms of new technologies and experimenting and being slightly reckless, but always coming out on top.
So then that reminds me, I was wondering, speaking of InstantSend, is that supported on Vaultoro?
Yeah, of course. We still have 2 confirmations because it's still very new technology. But every month that comes along, we're getting more and more confident as the network's testing out this technology, and we'll bring it right back to as fast as possible. But already people have been using Dash to fund their account. We've had some Dash holders funding their account, buying gold, trading back out. We've had some Bitcoiners putting Bitcoin in and then buying gold and then going back to Dash to buy masternodes. So it's the speed really shows it. I mean, one thing I really love in the space is technologies based around the speed. And I know that, of course, this network is very Dash orientated, but we've also put a lot of effort into the Lightning Network because I feel that the second layer solutions are kind of interesting as well. And we were one of the first exchanges to offer that. But I feel that Dash has also gotten to that stage where if you've ever used the Lightning Network, it's so nice to have a pre-confirmed transaction instantly somewhere else, and you think, wow, this is the future. And Dash has that already. It does it in a different way, but it has that same security and that same speed. So I really take my hat off to the way that the Dash developers think about problems and having solutions for those problems. So it's really, really clever.
So then let's talk more about the kinds of, I guess, trading strategies or like financial goals that people might have when using Vaultoro, whether they come with Dash, whether they come with Bitcoin, whether they come with gold or some combination thereof. Like what are some common like buying or selling goals or rebalancing goals that the Vaultoro platform serves well?
Yeah, so a lot of people, if it's me, I end up buying high and selling low. That's my personal strategy. But no, of course, what you want to try to do is the opposite. But it's generally really it's about hedging. It's about thinking, okay, there's as Bitcoin moves higher, what we see is people just slowly selling off as it goes higher, not just one big all into gold or all out into Bitcoin or all out into Dash. It's about slowly selling and slowly buying. So and this is very unintuitive, funnily enough, because it's actually the most intuitive thing in the world. I mean, it's funny, when you go to a shopping center and buy shoes, you think, wow, it's on sale. I'm going to buy that now. But if Dash is going down, people are like, oh no, you want to
Right.
buy it now, and they end up buying it when it's up. So, but what I find, which was really quite interesting with the gold space, is that gold people generally have a lot more of a solid understanding of economic theory, and as well as just general economic sense. That's not to say that crypto people don't. I'm just very, very generally speaking that they've thought about this for a long time, and so when 2017 came along, we saw a lot of gold bugs just pouring into gold. We were selling more gold than the largest gold supplier in Europe at that stage, and this was because it was incredible. It was an incredible time, and this really showed me that gold bugs knew what they were doing, because they saw that everything was oversold. They saw that we were living in a hype cycle, moon gaga land. And this was something that crypto people, I couldn't even talk to crypto people about selling up generally. I'd be like, and they're like, no, we're in a new paradigm. Don't be silly. You're just negative. And I'm like, okay, I'm just telling you the stats on our platform are like, people are exiting into hard assets right now. And so I think this is a really interesting thing to keep an eye on, and why you should log into Vaultoro every so often is just to have a look at what gold bugs are doing. Is there more sell pressure? What's the volumes like? So we've just recently, with the whole Dash side of component comes along with a relaunch of Vaultoro, which was a full rewrite from the ground up. And so we've been building the Steam back up, so to speak. And so, I really would love people to come and have a look and tell us what you think.
So then what is next for Vaultoro?
Well, we're just about to launch a referral system, and so I definitely, and this will be really fun. We used to have one on Vaultoro 1, but we're launching that as well. We're also relaunching the Glassbooks protocol, what we talked about before. With the relaunch of Vaultoro 2, we just haven't coded it yet. It's just been like trying to make sure all the stuff's happening that's the base product. And now we've got to relaunch the audit system, the public audit Glassbooks protocol, and the referral system, which will be fantastic, because if you refer someone, you get a gram of gold, and they get half a gram of gold, and they get half a gram of gold. The person that you refer, plus you get 20% of their training fees and a 5% second tier. So this is a lot of people have been like, Josh, when's the referral program coming back? So I'm really excited about that, because I really love it when businesses have systems where other people can earn money by helping the business. They sort of become part of it, rather than some sort of huge marketing team that we've got internally. For me, it's much nicer to have the community, talking about you and evangelizing and getting paid for that.
Well, that sounds exciting. Best of luck with launching of your referral program, and I'm sure there will be quite a few people now listening to hear for the launch of that as well. So
Josh, get in there, sign up now, because then you'll be the first to find out.
Oh, they can sign up now.
Yeah, they can sign up to Vaultoro, and then as soon as it's out, they'll be first notified.
Perfect. Well, you heard it here. Thanks so much for your time today, Josh.
Hey, thank you, Amanda, and keep up the great work, both you and the entire Dash community.
Well, thanks. We will certainly do our best. That's all I have for you this week, and we'll see you next time.